Have you ever had the feeling that something's not fair? The idea of fairness has a lot of personal meaning to me because I grew up in a difficult childhood. And so whenever I felt, that someone wasn't treating me right or equally, or they were being unkind, I went into a huge, huge reaction to fairness. I wouldn't sleep for days. These scenarios would run through my mind and imaginations about uh, conversations that we would have or whatever. I made myself miserable. In this time, here we are. This is August 2020. We've had a lot of talk about fairness. And I agree. Socially, we should have level ground for everyone. Everyone should have equal opportunities, equal pay, and all of that. Yes, I'm totally on that. But what about personally? What about this idea of personally? That's what I want to talk about today. So, in these years of my personal development, and I went through a couple of years of therapy and all these different facets to my own journey in now becoming a practitioner, I discovered a really different perspective on what fairness is. And as I was thinking about that recently, because of all these social issues that were coming up, I thought, what is the opposite of unfair? If you feel that something's unfair, what would be the opposite feeling? And for me, it's personal power. It's where I'm in charge. I have control. Because the feeling of unfairness gives kind of a victim energy. It makes things feel like they're out of your control. And so that's what I wanted to focus on. Actually, fairness, I found, is a myth. It's a myth. Is it possible for someone to take away personal power if that person doesn't want to give it up? Can anyone take your personal power from you? Or is it something that you have to give over to them? And I would say it's impossible. It's impossible. If you think about Nelson Mandela, now this man spent 27 years behind bars for his beliefs. Okay, now that from the outside would seem to be completely unfair because what he wanted was human rights. So needed and correct. But he was in jail. But at the same time, he rejected 3 conditional offers for release. Was he in there because of someone else, or was he in there because of standing for his own beliefs and staying in his power? When he stepped out of that jail cell, he did it on his own terms. And I would venture to say there'd be few people who would say Nelson Mandela was someone who had no power. He was totally in his power. Who goes to jail for 27 years and then comes out and becomes the president of the country? It just doesn't happen, but it happened to him. And the same thing is true for Mahatma Gandhi. I mean, he took on the entire British Empire. Yes, he was beaten, he was put in jail, but he still maintained his personal power. And both of these men prevailed in the end because they kept their personal power. They never gave it away. And so just imagine for us, normal, regular people, think about this idea of fairness as if your personal power is a bucket full of water. The idea of fairness is like a leak in the bucket. Whenever you give your emotions or your internal energy to this topic, you're giving away some of your power to that topic, that person, because you're reacting to it. The emotions that you expend on it are actually allowing them to control you. So when you're in your power, it doesn't mean you're full of force and you're retaliating. It just means you have unshakable calm. You look at them as though, they're an art project. And you don't react. You just stand in your power. Here are some myths about what personal power is. First of all, it's not aggressive or loud. Anger, rage, expressing pain, they're all symptoms of power leaks because you're putting your emotions into that and you're giving them that power. They're signs that you're overcome by somebody else's agenda. Somebody in the throes of aggression or anger, they're not making good choices. They're actually in fight or flight. So if you get into that emotional spin, you are actually creating a situation that's going to continue. The way to get control and be in your personal power is to focus and staying in your own space, maintaining your own energy. And we're not talking about just stuffing it down, save it for later. No, this is where you clear out whatever it is that is bringing up that anger in you. Because when we have these emotional responses, it shows that there's something in us that's attaching to what is happening outside of us. Otherwise, the connection would not be there. It would be broken, and they can do whatever they want. Doesn't affect you. I found this to be true when I was living with my mother after she had been so abusive to me. And I went back to help her and take care of her when she was failing in her old age. And what I found was when I got in there to live with her again after being away from her for years, she couldn't zing me. She could say all the mean things that she used to say or come up with some new ones, and she was really good at it. But I didn't care. I learned in that moment that personal power is not something that somebody else does to you. Personal power, giving away your personal power, is something you give up. Huge difference. Huge difference. So another myth, personal power is not about forcing someone else to change their behavior. The only person we can change is ourselves. So if you want to get into this emotional spin and figure out how to make someone change, wow, are you ever giving them a lot of energy? You're giving them your focus, and you can't force someone to change. The only person that will be affected is right here. Yes, voice your concerns. Speak from a calm, assertive place. And then let them make their choice because you've made yours. I'm going to be in my personal power. And then ask yourself that hard question. What will it take for me to be in a good, happy place again? Sometimes the answer to those questions are very difficult, hard for us to implement. But what would it take? Sometimes it means changing jobs. Sometimes it means changing relationships. Sometimes it means something else. I mean, I'm not talking about just quitting your job right here and, going on. I'm talking about examining your options, looking at maybe more education or something else that will help you be in a better place and make your plans and take action toward the goal. And little by little, you can weed out those places where you feel like somebody is pushing you and trying to get your power, trying to take your power from you. They can't take it unless you give it to them. But you don't want to be in that struggle and that fight all the time. So find a better place. A lot of times when we are in situations that cause us grief, it's simply that we're in the wrong place. I struggled for so long with my psychic abilities because I felt like I wasn't understood. And then I found a community of people who embrace it, and I love them and they love me. So maybe you just need to pivot. Go with people that agree with you and understand you and support you. Make that change because you can't change anybody else. And the third is that a fairness meter doesn't really exist. Conflict and struggle are there to show you where your bucket is leaking. That's what it is. It isn't about being fair. It's about revealing to you the places where you've got the energy drain. So instead of blaming those people for being who they are, just make those changes. Make those changes. Use the situation as kind of an assessment to give you an idea of where you are in your own development, in the environment, and how you can make changes. You know, it was a blessed, blessed day for me when I realized that I don't have to be the fairness police. I don't have to right every wrong. I can just live in my own space, in my own energy. I can make those changes and let myself be happy. Let myself be happy. That's right. So if you're giving your emotions away to somebody else, you're giving away your personal power. And a powerful person doesn't act out. They stand in their strength. And here is a message I just love to leave with you today. And that is, sometimes walking away can be the most powerful righting of wrongs that you will ever do. Just walk away. Just walk away. And let other people do them while you do you. Thank you so much. This article is on Medium. It's in an article form and shortened over there on medium.com. So I'm going to put the link below. And thanks so much. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment below. Bye now.